The woman who saved my life wasn't the one I was waiting for. Nathan Cole sat alone in that coffee shop, checking his phone for the third time, wondering why he'd agreed to this blind date. 3 years of single fatherhood had taught him one thing: hope was dangerous. But then she walked in, not his date, just a tired stranger in hospital scrubs, and asked if the seat beside him was taken. What happened next changed everything. If you want to know how one honest conversation can rewrite your entire future, stay until the end. Hit that like button and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The coffee shop smelled like burnt espresso and broken promises. Nathan Cole sat at a corner table, his phone face up on the scarred wooden surface, the screen dark and accusatory. 7:32. She was 32 minutes late. Or maybe she wasn't coming at all. Maybe she'd taken one look at his profile picture, the one his sister Emma had insisted was approachable, but probably just made him look tired, and decided a single dad with a warehouse job wasn't worth her Thursday evening. He couldn't blame her. He wasn't even sure he was worth his own Thursday evening. The coffee in front of him had gone cold 20 minutes ago, a thin film forming across the surface like ice on a pond. He should leave. He should text Emma, pick up Riley early from her place, go home and finish the laundry he'd started that morning. Single fathers didn't have time for this kind of thing, this sitting around, this hoping, this ridiculous vulnerability that felt like wearing your skin inside out. But Emma had been so insistent. You need to do this, Nate. You can't just be Riley's dad forever. You're allowed to be a person too. Except Nathan wasn't sure he remembered how to be a person anymore. The last 3 years had been about survival, making lunches, scheduling parent-teacher conferences, learning how to braid hair through YouTube videos at 2 in the morning because Riley wanted to look like Elsa. There wasn't room for dating, for small talk, for pretending to be someone interesting over overpriced coffee. He picked up his phone, ready to send the apologetic text he'd already written and deleted twice when the door chimed. A woman walked in, and Nathan's heart did a stupid, hopeful thing before his brain caught up. Not her, not his date. This woman wore navy blue scrubs and had her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun that looked less like a style choice and more like something she'd done at a red light. She carried herself with the particular exhaustion of someone who'd been on her feet for 12 hours, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes focused on the counter with the determination of someone who needed caffeine like oxygen. Nathan looked back at his phone. 7:35. He should go. But something kept him in his seat, not hope exactly, more like the stubborn refusal to let Emma be right about him giving up too easily. He'd stay until 7:45. That was reasonable. That was giving it a fair shot. The woman in scrubs got her coffee, something complicated that the barista took 3 tries to get right, and turned toward the seating area. The place was busier than Nathan had expected for a Thursday night, most tables occupied by students with laptops or couples leaning into each other's space the way people did when the world still felt new. There was exactly one empty chair in the entire coffee shop, right next to Nathan. The woman's eyes swept across the room, landing on the chair, then on Nathan, then back to the chair. He saw her hesitate, saw her do the mental calculation every woman did when approaching a strange man in public: safety, exit routes, the position of her keys in her bag. Nathan shifted slightly, angling his body away to make himself smaller, less threatening. He'd learned that trick years ago, back when Riley was a toddler, and he'd been the only dad at playground meetups, surrounded by suspicious mothers who watched him like he might be a predator instead of just another exhausted parent. "Is this seat taken?" Her voice was lower than he'd expected, rough around the edges like she'd been talking all day and had finally run out of smooth. Nathan shook his head. "All yours?" She sat with a sigh that seemed to come from her bones, setting her coffee down with the careful precision of someone who couldn't afford to spill it. Up close, Nathan could see the purple shadows under her eyes, the slight crease between her eyebrows that suggested she'd been frowning for several hours straight. They sat in silence for maybe 30 seconds, 2 tired people existing in the same space without expectation. It should have been awkward. Somehow, it wasn't. "Long day?" Nathan found himself saying, then immediately regretted it. Small talk. He was terrible at small talk. But the woman just laughed, short and sharp. "You could say that. 16-hour shift. Had a guy come in who thought he could treat a chainsaw wound with duct tape. Did it work? What do you think?" I think there's a reason you look like you need that coffee more than oxygen. She smiled then, just a small thing at the corner of her mouth, but it changed her whole face, made her look less like someone barely surviving and more like someone who might remember how to live. Lena, she said, extending her hand. Lena Hart. Nathan Cole. Nathan. His hand swallowed hers, but her grip was firm, confident, the handshake of someone who'd learned to hold her ground. So, what brings you to... Lena glanced around the coffee shop, taking in the mismatched furniture and the local art on the walls that was priced like it came from a gallery, but looked like it came from someone's garage. Whatever this place is called? The Grindhouse, Nathan supplied. And I'm supposed to be on a date. Supposed to be? She's 40 minutes late now. Nathan checked his phone again. 7:41. Pretty sure that's the universe telling me to go home. Lena took a long sip of her coffee, studying him over the rim. Or she's stuck in traffic, or her kid got sick, or her car broke down, or any of 1,000 things that happen to people who aren't trying to stand you up. You sound like my sister. Your sister sounds smart. She is. Too smart. She's the one who set this whole thing up. Nathan ran his hand through his hair, a nervous habit he'd never managed to break. Blind date. Because apparently I've been wallowing for 3 years. Have you been? The question caught him off guard. Most people would have offered sympathy or changed the subject. Lena just looked at him, genuinely curious, like his answer mattered. I don't think so, Nathan said slowly. I think I've been busy. There's a difference. There is, Lena agreed, though sometimes busy is just another word for hiding. You a therapist? Nurse. But we do a lot of informal therapy between the chainsaw wounds and the duct tape incidents. Nathan laughed, surprising himself. When was the last time he'd laughed with a stranger? When was the last time he'd laughed at all, outside of Riley's knock-knock jokes that never quite made sense? So what's keeping you busy instead of wallowing? Lena asked. I have a daughter, Riley. She's 6. Well, almost 7. Her birthday's in 2 weeks, and she won't let me forget it. Something shifted in Lena's expression, but Nathan couldn't read it. Not pity, not exactly. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. Single dad? Is it that obvious? You have the look. The I haven't slept properly since 2019 look. Plus there's a sparkly unicorn sticker on your phone case. Nathan glanced at his phone, at the rainbow unicorn Riley had insisted on adding last week, because phones are too boring, Daddy. He tried to peel it off before the date, then felt guilty and left it. She has strong opinions about aesthetics, Nathan said. Good. The world needs more women with strong opinions. The door chimed again, and Nathan glanced up automatically. A woman walked in, mid-30s, blonde, wearing the kind of outfit that looked effortlessly put together, but probably took an hour to achieve. She scanned the room with the focused intensity of someone looking for a specific person. Looking for him. Their eyes met across the coffee shop. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The smile of someone fulfilling an obligation. Nathan recognized it because he was wearing the same expression. That her? Lena asked quietly. Yeah. You want me to move? Nathan looked at Lena, really looked at her. The exhaustion etched in her face, the coffee clutched between her hands like a lifeline. The way she'd asked him real questions instead of performing conversation. Then he looked at his date, making her way across the room with careful steps, already apologizing before she even arrived. No, Nathan said. Stay. Please. The woman, Jessica, his mind supplied, her name was Jessica, reached the table slightly out of breath, her smile strained. Nathan, I'm so sorry. Traffic was insane. And then I couldn't find parking, and my phone died, so I couldn't text. It's okay, Nathan said, standing. Really, these things happen. Jessica's eyes flicked to Lena, a quick assessment, then back to Nathan. Is this? Oh no, this is Lena. She was just sitting here because the place is packed. Right, of course. Jessica's smile tightened another notch. Should we... There's a table opening up over there? Nathan glanced at the table she indicated, near the bathroom, the smell of industrial cleaner wafting over every few minutes. Then he looked back at Lena, who was studying her coffee with sudden intense interest, giving them space. What he should do was say yes. Go sit with Jessica. Make small talk. Give the evening a fair shot like he'd promised Emma. What he wanted to do was stay right here, in this scarred wooden chair next to a stranger who asked him real questions. Sure, Nathan heard himself say. Let me just grab my stuff. He gathered his phone, his wallet, his keys, Riley's keychain, of course, a plastic dinosaur that roared when you squeezed it. Jessica was already walking toward the newly empty table, her back straight, her phone out to check messages. Nathan stood there for a moment, torn between obligation and instinct. Go on, Lena said quietly. You came here for a date. You should give it a shot. Yeah, you're right. But he didn't move. It was nice talking to you. You too, Nathan. Good luck. He walked toward Jessica's table, each step feeling like the wrong direction. The next 45 minutes were a masterclass in polite discomfort. Jessica was nice, that was the problem. She was perfectly nice. She worked in marketing, lived in a downtown loft, had recently gotten into hot yoga. She asked appropriate questions about his job, his daughter, his interests. She laughed at the right moments, maintained eye contact, checked all the boxes of someone trying to make a good impression. But Nathan could feel the gap between them with every exchange, wide as a canyon and just as impossible to cross. So you're a warehouse supervisor? Jessica asked, stirring her chai latte with a precision that suggested she'd rather be anywhere else. Yeah, been there about 8 years. It's steady work, good benefits. That's important, especially with a daughter. Definitely. Silence, the kind that felt like work to fill. And you said she's 6? Almost 7. That's a fun age. Was it? Nathan thought about Riley's recent obsession with asking why about everything. Her refusal to eat anything green, the meltdown last Tuesday over mismatched socks. Fun wasn't exactly the word he'd use. Exhausting, wonderful, terrifying. But not fun. Not in the way Jessica meant it, like childhood was a performance he was watching rather than a reality he was living. It has its moments, Nathan said. Do you get much time to yourself? I mean, when she's with her mom? And there it was. The question everyone asked eventually, the one Nathan still didn't have a smooth answer for. Her mom's not in the picture. Hasn't been since Riley was 3. Jessica's expression shifted. That particular combination of sympathy and discomfort people always wore when they realized they'd stepped on a landmine. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. It's fine, really. Ancient history. Except it wasn't, not really. Some wounds didn't heal, they just became part of your landscape. Sarah leaving wasn't something that happened to Nathan anymore. It was just a fact of his life, like his height or his eye color. Riley deserved better than a mother who'd decided motherhood wasn't for her. They both did. That must be really hard, Jessica said, doing it all on your own. You figure it out. You don't really have a choice. More silence. Jessica checked her phone, a quick glance she tried to hide. Nathan didn't blame her. He wanted to check his own phone, text Emma some excuse to leave early. Food poisoning, gas leak, sudden onset amnesia. So marketing, Nathan said, because someone had to say something. What kind of marketing? Mostly social media campaigns, brand awareness, influencer partnerships, that kind of thing. Sounds interesting. It can be. When the clients aren't impossible. Jessica laughed, but it sounded rehearsed. Last week I had someone demand we make their product go viral, like it's something you can just order off a menu. Nathan nodded, pretending to understand a world where making things go viral was a professional concern. His world was purchase orders and inventory counts, and making sure Riley brushed her teeth for the full 2 minutes. Over Jessica's shoulder, he could see Lena at the other table. She'd pulled out a book, actual paper, not a phone, and was reading with the focus of someone who'd learned to steal quiet moments wherever she could find them. Every so often, she'd take a sip of coffee, and Nathan found himself waiting for those moments, watching for them like they mattered. Nathan! He snapped his attention back to Jessica, who was looking at him with poorly concealed frustration. Sorry, what? I asked if you wanted to get out of here. Maybe grab dinner somewhere? Dinner. Extending the evening, more polite conversation, more forced smiles, more pretending that they had anything in common besides Emma's well-intentioned matchmaking. I should probably get back, Nathan said. I told my sister I'd pick up Riley by 9. It was a lie. Emma had offered to keep Riley overnight, but Jessica looked relieved rather than disappointed, which told Nathan everything he needed to know. Of course. Kids come first. She was already gathering her bag, her coat, creating distance. This was nice, though. Yeah, thanks for coming out. They both knew it was over before it started. They stood, did the awkward should we hug dance, settled on a brief one-armed thing that felt like embracing a mannequin. Jessica was out the door within 30 seconds, probably already texting her friends about the boring single dad who couldn't hold a conversation. Nathan stood there for a moment, watching her go, feeling nothing. Not disappointment, not relief, just the familiar emptiness of going through motions. He should leave too, go home, check on Riley, start the bedtime routine even though she wasn't there. Instead, he found himself walking back toward his original table. Lena was still there, still reading. She glanced up when his shadow fell across her book. That was quick, she said. Yeah, we both had places to be. Code for that was terrible? Code for we had absolutely nothing to talk about. Nathan gestured to the empty chair. Mind if I sit, or are you tired of me already? Lena marked her page and set the book down. Sit. I've got nowhere to be until my shift tomorrow afternoon. Nathan sat, and something in his chest unclenched. The relief of not having to perform, not having to be anything other than what he was. So, Lena said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to complain about that date? Is this nurse therapy again? This is two tired people drinking bad coffee therapy, completely different. Nathan laughed. It wasn't even bad, really. She was nice, normal, probably perfect for someone. But not for you. But not for me, Nathan agreed. She asked me if I got much time to myself. Like Riley is something I need a break from. Lena tilted her head, considering. Maybe she was just trying to show she understood it must be hard. Maybe. But it felt like she was already calculating whether I'd have time for her, whether Riley would be an inconvenience. Would she be? The question should have offended him. Instead, it felt honest. Real. Riley's not an inconvenience, Nathan said carefully. She's my life. Anyone who dates me is dating both of us. If that's too complicated, if that's asking too much, then it's better to know up front. Lena nodded slowly. That's fair. Probably scary for some people, though. Probably. Emma keeps telling me I need to be more flexible, more open, but I don't know how to be open about the most important thing in my life while also protecting her from people who might not stick around. So you what? Just don't date? Mostly. This was my first attempt in 3 years. You can see how well it went. Hey, you lasted 45 minutes. That's respectable. Lena's smile was crooked, genuine. My last date lasted 20 minutes before the guy told me I was too intense. Too intense? Apparently talking about work, which involves saving lives, by the way, is bringing down the vibe. What the hell is the vibe? Exactly, Lena laughed, and the sound was infectious. I spent 16 hours in the ER. I'm exhausted. I smell like hospital disinfectant, and I'm supposed to be bubbly and fun? No thank you. Nathan found himself smiling, really smiling, not the polite performance he'd worn with Jessica. When was this? 2 months ago. Haven't tried since. Figured if that's what dating looks like now, I'm better off alone. Alone's easier, Nathan said. Alone's safer, Lena corrected. Not the same thing. They sat with that for a moment, the weight of it. The coffee shop had started to empty out, students packing up laptops, couples heading out into the night. The barista was wiping down tables with the aggressive efficiency of someone ready to close. I should let you go, Nathan said, even though he didn't want to. Yeah, I should get home, feed my cat, pretend a meal prep for the week, pass out on the couch. Sounds like a perfect Thursday night. It really does. Lena stood, gathering her book, her coffee cup. She hesitated. This was nice, though. The conversation felt like talking to a real person. Yeah, Nathan said. It did. They walked toward the door together, stepping out into the cool October air. The parking lot was nearly empty now, streetlights casting long shadows across the pavement. Well, Lena said, good luck with the whole dating thing. I hope your next one is better than Jessica. I hope your next one appreciates your intensity. Lena smiled. We'll see. Maybe I'll wait another 2 months before I try again. She started walking toward a beat-up Honda Civic, keys already in her hand. Nathan stood there, watching her go, feeling like he was making a mistake he couldn't quite name. Lena. She turned, eyebrows raised. This is probably weird, Nathan said, and I'm probably about to make a fool of myself, but do you want to get coffee again sometime, like on purpose? Lena stood very still for a moment, and Nathan felt his heart hammering against his ribs. This was stupid. She was a stranger. They'd talked for maybe an hour total. She probably thought he was some desperate single dad looking for any connection he could find. Like a date? She asked carefully. Like, Nathan hesitated. Like two people who had a good conversation and might want to have another one. Whatever that means. That's the vaguest invitation I've ever received. I'm out of practice. Clearly, but she was smiling. You know what? Sure. Why not? I've got Monday off if you can get away. I can make it work. Nathan pulled out his phone, fumbled with it, nearly dropped it. Can I get your number? Lena rattled it off, and Nathan typed it in with shaking hands, adding her contact with just her name. No emojis, no descriptors, just Lena Hart. Text me, she said. We'll figure out the details. I will. Good. She got in her car and drove away, taillights disappearing into the night. Nathan stood there in the empty parking lot, his phone in his hand, wondering what the hell he'd just done. Then he texted Emma. Picked up Riley. See you tomorrow. Emma's response came 30 seconds later. How'd the date go? Nathan looked at his phone, at Lena's number saved in his contacts, at the night around him that suddenly felt less heavy. Interesting, he typed back. I'll tell you later. He drove home through empty streets, his mind replaying the conversation, picking apart every word Lena had said, like he was searching for meaning in tea leaves. This was ridiculous. He was too old for this, too tired, too complicated. He had responsibilities, a daughter who needed stability, a life that barely had room for himself, let alone someone else. But Lena had asked him real questions. She'd looked at him like he was a person, not just a collection of obligations and complications. And when he'd talked about Riley, she hadn't flinched, hadn't calculated, had just listened. Maybe that was enough to build on. Maybe not. He'd find out Monday. Riley was still awake when Nathan got home, sitting at Emma's kitchen table with markers spread everywhere, creating what appeared to be a rainbow apocalypse on construction paper. Daddy! She launched herself at him with the force of a small torpedo, all 70 pounds of energy and sticky fingers. Hey, Bug. Nathan scooped her up, even though she was getting too big for it, even though his back would hate him tomorrow. What are you still doing up? Aunt Emma said I could finish my picture. Aunt Emma spoils you. Aunt Emma's favorite, Riley announced, then lowered her voice to a whisper that Emma could definitely still hear. Don't tell Uncle Jake. Emma appeared in the doorway, her smile knowing. So, how was the date? Can we not do this in front of Riley? Riley's not paying attention. Are you, Riley? Nope, Riley said, already wriggling out of Nathan's arms to get back to her masterpiece. Emma pulled Nathan into the hallway, arms crossed, eyebrows raised. Well? It was fine. Fine. That's it? That's all I get? Jessica was nice. We didn't click. Story over. Nate, I know what you're going to say, Em. I need to give people more of a chance, be more open, stop looking for excuses. I was going to say you look different. That stopped him. What? Different, like something happened. Emma studied his face with the unnerving precision of someone who'd known him his entire life. What happened? Nathan thought about Lena, about the conversation that had felt easy when nothing had felt easy in years, about how he'd asked for her number in a parking lot like a teenager. I met someone, he said quietly. Emma's eyes went wide. At the coffee shop? While you were waiting for Jessica? She sat next to me. We just talked. And I'm seeing her Monday. Emma's smile could have powered the city. Nathan Cole. Did you just pick someone up while on another date? I didn't pick anyone up. We just had a conversation. It might be nothing, but it might be something. But it might be something, Nathan admitted. Emma pulled him into a hug, fierce and quick. About damn time. Don't get excited, it's just coffee. It's never just coffee. Maybe she was right. Maybe Lena would turn out to be just as wrong for him as Jessica, just in different ways. Maybe Monday would be awkward and disappointing, and he'd go back to his carefully constructed life of just him and Riley. But as he drove home with his daughter singing off-key in the back seat, Nathan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not hope, exactly, but close enough. Monday arrived with the weight of anticipation Nathan hadn't felt since his first day of high school. He stood in front of his closet at 6 in the morning, Riley still asleep down the hall, staring at shirts like they held the secrets to the universe. Too casual, and he looked like he didn't care. Too formal, and he looked like he was trying too hard. Everything in between just looked like what it was. The wardrobe of a man who spent most of his time in a warehouse wearing company-issued polos. He settled on a navy Henley and jeans, the closest thing he had to effortlessly put together. Then he immediately changed into a gray t-shirt, then back to the Henley. Riley wandered in around the fourth outfit change, her hair sticking up in 17 different directions. "Why are you being weird?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. "I'm not being weird. You're looking at your shirts like they're mean to you." Nathan crouched down to her level, smoothing down the worst of her bedhead. "I'm just trying to figure out what to wear today." "Why? You always wear the same thing." "Thanks, Bug, really boosting my confidence here." Riley studied him with the unnerving perception of children who saw too much. "Are you going somewhere?" "Just meeting a friend for coffee." "What friend?" "Someone I met last week." "Is it a girl?" Nathan hesitated a second too long, and Riley's eyes went wide with the kind of glee that meant he was about to be interrogated by a 6-year-old prosecutor. "It is a girl. Daddy has a girlfriend." "She's not my girlfriend. We're just getting coffee." That's what people say when they have girlfriends. "How do you even know that?" "Sophia's mom has a boyfriend, and she always says they're just friends, but they kiss and everything." "Well, there's no kissing happening here, just coffee. Regular, boring coffee between two adults." Riley looked skeptical, but mercifully dropped it. "Can I have pancakes?" "Sure, Bug, pancakes." Nathan made breakfast on autopilot, his mind already at the park where he'd agreed to meet Lena. Neutral territory, she'd suggested when they'd texted over the weekend. Somewhere they could walk if the conversation stalled, somewhere with an easy exit if things went south. Nathan appreciated the pragmatism even as it made him nervous. She was already planning for failure, which meant she was smart enough to know failure was possible. Their text exchange had been brief, practical. No emoji-laden flirtation, no trying too hard to be clever. Just logistics and confirmation, the kind of conversation you'd have with a colleague. Except Nathan had read each message approximately 40 times, analyzing tone and word choice like he was decoding ancient hieroglyphics. Emma picked up Riley at 8, her knowing smile making Nathan want to crawl into a hole. "Looking good, Nate," she said, taking in the Henley he'd finally settled on. "It's just coffee." "You've told me that 6 times. I'm starting to think you're trying to convince yourself." "I'm a 40-year-old single dad. I don't know what I'm doing." "Nobody knows what they're doing. That's the whole point." Emma squeezed his shoulder. "Just be yourself. That's enough." Except Nathan wasn't sure what himself even was anymore. He'd been Riley's dad for so long, he'd almost forgotten there was supposed to be a person underneath. A person with interests and opinions, and the ability to have a conversation that didn't revolve around princess movies or the inherent unfairness of bedtime. He arrived at the park 15 minutes early, then sat in his truck for 10 of them because showing up too early seemed desperate. The park was busy for a Monday morning, joggers doing their loops, a few remote workers taking calls on benches, an elderly couple feeding ducks by the pond. Normal people living normal lives, while Nathan sat there feeling like he was about to walk into an exam he hadn't studied for. At exactly 10 o'clock, he got out of the truck. Lena was already there, sitting on a bench near the walking path, 2 coffee cups beside her. She wore jeans and a green sweater, her hair down for the first time instead of pulled back. She looked different in daylight, softer somehow, less like she was running on fumes and more like an actual person with a life outside the emergency room. She saw him and smiled, and Nathan felt something in his chest do a complicated thing he didn't have a name for. "Hey," he said, suddenly aware of his hands and the fact that he had no idea what to do with them. "Hey yourself." Lena handed him one of the coffees. "Black, right? You didn't seem like a caramel macchiato kind of guy." "Good call. How much do I owe you?" "It's coffee, Nathan. I think I can handle it." They started walking, no particular destination, just moving because it was easier than sitting still and looking at each other. The path wound around the pond, fallen leaves crunching under their feet, the October air sharp enough to sting. "So," Lena said after a moment, "this is weird, right?" "Incredibly weird." "Okay, good. I was worried it was just me." She took a sip of her coffee, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "I kept thinking maybe I imagined the whole thing, that we just had a normal conversation and I built it up in my head into something it wasn't." "Did you? Build it up, I mean?" "I don't know. Did you?" Nathan thought about the last 4 days, the way he'd replayed their conversation, the way he'd found himself smiling at random moments for no reason except remembering something she'd said. "Probably," he admitted, "but I think that's okay. Better than pretending it didn't matter." Lena nodded, and they walked in silence for a while. Not awkward silence, the kind that felt like breathing room. A jogger passed them, then a woman with a stroller, then 2 teenagers who were definitely cutting school. Normal Monday morning in the park. Nothing special about it except the person walking beside him. "Tell me something," Lena said eventually. "Something real. Not first date conversation, not small talk. Something true." Nathan glanced at her, surprised. "Like what?" "I don't know. Whatever comes to mind." He thought about it, about all the polite answers he could give, all the ways he could sand down his edges to make himself more palatable. But Lena had asked for real, and maybe that's what he needed to be. "I'm terrified I'm screwing up my daughter," he said quietly. "Every single day. I'm terrified I'm not enough, that she needs things I can't give her, that one day she's going to realize her life would have been better if her mom had stayed." Lena didn't flinch, didn't rush to reassure him. She just listened, and somehow that was better than any platitude. "Riley's mom left when she was 3, Nathan continued. "Just decided motherhood wasn't for her. Packed a bag, wrote a note, and disappeared. I've tried to make peace with it, tried to understand it, but some part of me will always be angry. Not for me, for Riley. She deserves better than a mom who couldn't be bothered to stick around." "Where is she now?" "No idea. Last I heard she was in California, but that was 2 years ago. She signed away her parental rights, made it clean. At least there's that." They'd reached a bench overlooking the pond, and without discussing it, they both sat. The sun was breaking through the clouds, turning the water silver. "Can I tell you something?" Lena asked. "That's how this works, right? I bear my soul, you bear yours, we see if we can handle it?" "Something like that." Lena set her coffee down, her hands clasped in her lap. "My ex-husband cheated on me with someone he worked with for 8 months. I found out because he was stupid enough to use our shared computer and not clear his browser history." "Jesus." "Yeah, the divorce was finalized 6 months ago, but I'm still—" She paused, searching for the word. "Still processing. Still figuring out who I am without him. We were together for 9 years, married for 5. And then one day I woke up and realized I'd built my entire life around someone who saw me as convenient rather than essential. I'm sorry. Don't be. It needed to happen. I just wish it hadn't taken so long for me to see it." Lena looked at him, her eyes steady. "But here's the thing. I'm not looking to jump into something new. I'm not looking to be saved or fixed or validated by another relationship. I'm still figuring out how to be whole on my own." "Then why are you here?" Nathan asked, not accusatory, just curious. "Because whole doesn't mean alone. And because our conversation last week was the first time in months, I felt like myself instead of someone's ex-wife, or someone's nurse, or someone's mistake." She smiled, sad and honest. "I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's anything, but I wanted to find out." Nathan nodded slowly. "I don't know what this is either. I just know that I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since Thursday. And I don't mean that in a creepy way, little bit creepy. I just mean you felt real. Everything else feels like I'm going through motions, playing a part. But talking to you felt like I could just be tired and confused and still be okay." "You can be," Lena said softly. "You should be able to be all of those things." A family walked past them, parents holding the hands of a small boy who was narrating an elaborate story about dragons. Nathan watched them, feeling the familiar ache of seeing other intact families, other people who made it look easy. "Do you want kids?" he asked. "Is that something you thought about? With your ex, I mean." Lena was quiet for a moment, watching the family disappear around the bend. "We talked about it. Before everything fell apart, we'd started trying. Nothing happened, and then I found out why. He was more invested in his affair than in building a family with me." She picked at a thread on her jeans. "Now, I don't know. I'm 36. I've got maybe a few years if I want to go the traditional route, longer if I don't care about biology. But the idea of doing it alone, of choosing to be a single parent, I don't know if I'm that brave." "It's not about bravery. It's about necessity. You do what you have to do." "Is that what it feels like? Necessity?" Nathan thought about Riley's laugh, the way she tucked her hand in his when they crossed the street, the fierce love that sometimes felt like it would break his ribs. "It feels like the only thing that matters. Everything else is just noise." They sat with that, the weight and truth of it. A duck landed on the pond with an ungraceful splash, breaking the moment. "Can I ask you something potentially invasive?" Lena said. "After what we just talked about?" "Sure." "Why did you ask me out? Really? You had a bad date with Jessica, you were tired, you were probably ready to swear off women entirely. So why track me down in the parking lot and ask for my number?" Nathan considered the question, trying to find an answer that made sense. "Because you didn't look at me like I was broken. Everyone else, Jessica, the women Emma's tried to set me up with before, even some of Riley's teachers, they all see single dad and they see damage. Something that needs fixing or saving or pitying, but you just saw me." "I see a tired man doing his best," Lena said. "Same thing I see in the mirror." "Exactly. And maybe that's enough to build on. I don't need someone to fix me. I don't need someone to complete me or whatever romantic comedy bullshit people say. I just need someone who gets it. Someone who understands that life is complicated and messy, and we're all just figuring it out as we go." Lena smiled, and it reached her eyes this time. "That might be the most honest thing anyone's ever said to me on a date." "This is a date?" "I think it might be." They walked for another hour, conversation flowing easier now that they'd gotten the hard parts out of the way. Lena told him about growing up in Ohio, about choosing nursing because she wanted to help people and didn't mind the sight of blood, about her cat who was possibly plotting her murder. Nathan told her about taking over full custody, about learning to braid hair from YouTube videos, about the time Riley had convinced him dragons were real and he'd needed to check under her bed every night for a month. When Lena laughed, really laughed, not the polite chuckle of someone being nice, Nathan felt something settle in his chest. Permission, maybe. To be exactly this person, with all his complications and responsibilities and fears. They ended up back at the parking lot around noon, both reluctant to leave but aware that the real world was waiting. "I have to pick up Riley from my sister's at 2, Nathan said, "and I have to sleep before my shift tonight. So this is where we say goodbye and either delete each other's numbers or text awkwardly for 3 days before one of us ghosts." Lena laughed. "Or we could skip the drama and just be honest. I had a good time. I'd like to do this again, but I need to be clear about something." "Okay. I'm not ready for anything serious. I'm not ready to meet your daughter or plan for futures or any of that. I'm barely keeping my own life together. If that's not enough, if you need more than that, I understand. But I can't be more right now." Nathan felt the weight of her words, the honesty of them. A year ago, even 6 months ago, he would have walked away. He would have decided that casual wasn't worth the risk, that Riley needed stability, that he didn't have time for something undefined. But standing there in the parking lot, looking at Lena with her guard up and her truth laid bare, Nathan realized he didn't want easy. He didn't want someone who had it all figured out. He wanted real, even if real was messy and uncertain. "I'm not ready for serious either," he said. "I'm not ready to introduce anyone to Riley or start planning weekends together or any of that. I've got my own mess to deal with. But I'd like to see you again, even if it's just this, coffee and talking and seeing where it goes." No pressure. No expectations. No pressure. No expectations. Lena extended her hand, formal and slightly ridiculous. Deal. Nathan shook it, and they both laughed at the absurdity of it. Then, because the moment seemed to call for it, he pulled her into a hug. Brief, careful. The kind of hug that acknowledged something without demanding anything. Text me, Lena said, pulling back. Or I'll text you, whichever happens first. I will. He watched her drive away, same beat-up Civic, same taillights disappearing. But this time it felt different. This time it felt like a beginning instead of an ending. Nathan picked up Riley at exactly 2 o'clock, finding her covered in paint and grinning like she'd won the lottery. We made art, she announced, showing him a canvas that looked like a rainbow had exploded on it. Aunt Emma says I'm a natural. Aunt Emma says a lot of things. Emma appeared in the doorway, paint splattered and smiling. So? So what? So how was coffee with Mystery Woman? Nathan glanced at Riley, who was already losing interest in the adult conversation. It was good. Good. That's it? That's all I get? We're going to see each other again. Emma's smile could have lit up the entire city. Nathan Cole, are you dating someone? I'm having coffee with someone. Multiple times, potentially. Don't make it bigger than it is. Everything is bigger than you think it is. That's your problem. You minimize everything. Maybe she was right. Maybe he did minimize things, keep them small and manageable, so they couldn't hurt as much when they fell apart. But maybe, just maybe, Lena was worth the risk of hoping for something bigger. The week that followed felt strange, like Nathan was living in 2 timelines simultaneously. In one timeline, he was exactly who he'd always been. Warehouse supervisor, single dad, person who existed in the space between obligations. In the other timeline, he was someone who smiled at his phone when texts came through, someone who thought about Monday morning walks in the park, someone who felt the stirring of something he'd thought was dead. They texted sporadically throughout the week. Nothing deep, nothing that required hours of analysis, just moments of connection between the chaos of their separate lives. Tuesday afternoon. Had a guy come in who superglued his hand to his face, never a dull moment. Tuesday evening. Riley just asked me why clouds don't fall down. I have no idea how to explain physics to a 6-year-old. Wednesday morning. Coffee is a food group, right? Wednesday night. According to Riley, it should be. She's lobbying hard for pizza to be one too. Thursday. How do you do it? The single parent thing? I'm exhausted just thinking about it. You just do. 1 day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. You make it sound easy. It's not, but it's worth it. By Friday, Nathan found himself looking forward to the texts more than he wanted to admit. Emma noticed, of course, because Emma noticed everything. You're smiling at your phone again, she said, picking up Riley from an after-school play date. I smile at my phone all the time. Not like that, you don't. That's a specific smile. That's a someone I like is texting me smile. Can you not analyze my facial expressions? Can you not be so obvious? Riley looked up from her coloring book. Daddy's texting his girlfriend. She's not my girlfriend. That's what people say when they have girlfriends, Riley repeated, her 6-year-old wisdom delivered with absolute certainty. Emma high-fived her. Smart kid. You're both terrible. But he was smiling, and they both knew it. Saturday morning, his phone rang instead of chimed. Lena's name on the screen, and Nathan's heart did that stupid hopeful thing again. Hey, he answered. Hey, so I have a crazy shift tonight. Double coverage because half the staff called in sick, and I'm going to be dead on my feet. But I've got about 3 hours before I need to be there. Want to grab lunch? Nathan glanced at Riley, who was building an elaborate Lego castle on the living room floor. I've got Riley today. Rain check? There was a pause on the other end, and Nathan could practically hear Lena recalculating. What if I came to you? We could do something kid-friendly. Park, ice cream, whatever. Nathan's chest tightened, meeting Riley. That was a line he hadn't expected to cross so soon, a boundary he thought they'd agreed on. I thought you weren't ready for that. I'm not ready for serious. Meeting your kid for ice cream isn't serious. It's just ice cream, unless you're not comfortable with it. Then we definitely wait. Was he comfortable with it? Nathan looked at Riley at her fierce concentration as she placed tiny Lego windows in exactly the right spots. She was his whole world, his reason for being careful, for not taking risks that might hurt her. But Lena had been honest about her limitations. She wasn't pretending to be ready for more than she could give, and Riley would just see it as ice cream with a nice lady, not some significant introduction to Daddy's potential girlfriend. "Okay," Nathan heard himself say. "Ice cream sounds good." They met at the ice cream shop near the park, the one with the homemade flavors and the picnic tables outside. Riley spotted Lena first, tugging on Nathan's hand. "Who's that?" "That's Lena. She's my friend. We're going to have ice cream together." "Does she like unicorns?" "I don't know, Bug. You'll have to ask her." Lena saw them approaching and smiled, but Nathan could see the nervousness underneath it. She'd dressed casually, jeans and a t-shirt, like she was trying not to make too big a deal out of it. He appreciated that more than she probably knew. "Hi," Lena said. "You must be Riley." Riley looked up at her with the intense scrutiny only children could manage. "Daddy says you're his friend." "I am." "What kind of friend?" "The kind who gets ice cream, apparently. What's your favorite flavor?" "Chocolate. But the kind with the chocolate chunks in it, not the smooth kind. The smooth kind is boring." Lena laughed. "I completely agree. Smooth chocolate is a waste of everyone's time." And just like that, Riley decided Lena was acceptable. They got their ice cream, chocolate chunk for Riley, mint chip for Lena, vanilla for Nathan because he was boring and didn't care who knew it, and sat at a picnic table in the shade. Riley dominated the conversation, telling Lena elaborate stories about school and her best friend Sophia and the injustice of bedtimes. Lena listened with the same attention she'd given Nathan, asking real questions, treating Riley like a person worth taking seriously. "So, you're a nurse?" Riley asked, chocolate already smeared on her face. "I am. Do you see blood and stuff?" "Sometimes. Doesn't bother me, though." Gross. Riley considered this. But also cool. Daddy says nurses help people. We try. I want to help people when I grow up. But not with blood. Blood is yucky. Plenty of ways to help people without blood, Lena said. You could be a teacher, a librarian, a firefighter. Firefighters see blood sometimes, Riley interrupted, but they also save cats from trees. I saw it on TV. Nathan caught Lena's eye over Riley's head, and she smiled, the real smile, the one that made her eyes crinkle at the corners. This was going well. Better than well. Riley was being Riley, Lena was being Lena, and nobody was trying too hard or pretending to be something they weren't. After ice cream, they walked to the nearby playground. Riley ran ahead, immediately climbing to the top of the jungle gym with the fearlessness of someone who believed the world would catch her if she fell. She's great, Lena said quietly. She's a handful. The best ones usually are. Lena watched Riley navigate the monkey bars with fierce determination. You're doing a good job, you know, with her. Some days I'm not sure. That's how you know you're doing it right. The bad parents are the ones who think they have it all figured out. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Riley play. Other parents dotted the playground, pushing swings, spotting climbers, existing in that particular exhaustion of weekend parenting. Nathan wondered if they looked like a couple, him and Lena standing together. If anyone assumed they were Riley's parents, together. The thought should have scared him. Instead, it just felt nice. I should go, Lena said eventually, checking her watch. I need to shower and mentally prepare for tonight's chaos. Thanks for coming, for meeting her. Thanks for letting me, Lena hesitated. I meant what I said. I'm not ready for serious, but this was good, really good. Yeah, it was. Riley ran over, breathless and grinning. Are you leaving? I have to go to work, Lena said. But maybe I'll see you again sometime? Okay, bye. And just like that, Riley was gone, back to the swings where another kid was waiting. Lena laughed. Well, that was a warm goodbye. She's 6. Everyone gets the same level of interest as her current activity. As it should be. Lena started walking toward the parking lot, and Nathan followed. Text me later. Let me know how the rest of your weekend goes. I will. They stood by her car, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Then Lena did something unexpected. She reached out and squeezed his hand, brief and warm. This is good, Nathan. Whatever this is, it's good. She drove away, and Nathan stood there feeling the ghost of her touch, the warmth of her words. When he turned back to the playground, Riley was watching him with intense interest. I like her, Riley announced when he got close enough. She's nice, and she has good taste in ice cream. High praise. Is she your girlfriend? Nathan crouched down to Riley's level, brushing playground sand off her shorts. She's my friend. We like spending time together. But you smile when you see her, like how you smile when I bring home good grades. I smile because she makes me happy. Friends can do that. Riley processed this with the seriousness of a philosopher. Okay, but if she becomes your girlfriend, you have to tell me. Because Sophia's mom got a boyfriend and didn't tell Sophia, and Sophia was really mad. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. Deal? Deal. That night, after Riley was asleep, Nathan texted Lena. She gave you the seal of approval. Apparently you have good taste in ice cream. The response came quickly. The highest compliment. How was bedtime? The usual negotiations and stalling tactics. Currently reading chapter 3 of the same book we've been on for a week. What book? Chapter book about a girl who discovers she's secretly a princess. Very original. Let me guess. She has to choose between duty and true love? Obviously, it's what all princesses do. They texted back and forth for another hour, easy conversation that felt like breathing. When Nathan finally put his phone down, it was after midnight, and he was smiling like an idiot in his dark bedroom. This was dangerous, he thought. This feeling, this hope, this wanting something for himself instead of just for Riley. But Lena had been right. Whole didn't mean alone. And maybe it was okay to want this, to let himself have something good, even if it was uncertain. He fell asleep thinking about mint chip ice cream and the way Lena had listened to Riley like her stories mattered. And for the first time in 3 years, the fear of hoping for something more didn't feel quite so overwhelming. The next few weeks unfolded in a rhythm Nathan hadn't known he was capable of anymore. Not the careful routine of single parenthood, but something looser, more organic. Days that included Lena without revolving around her. Moments that felt stolen from his regular life, even though they were starting to become part of it. They saw each other when they could, which wasn't often given Lena's rotating shifts and Nathan's responsibilities. Tuesday lunch when Riley was at school and Lena had a rare day off. A walk through the farmer's market on Saturday morning while Riley was at a birthday party. 20-minute phone calls late at night when they were both too wired to sleep. Voices hushed like teenagers trying not to get caught. It was slow, careful. They were both too bruised to move fast, too aware of everything that could go wrong. But slow felt right, felt like they were building something that might actually hold. Riley saw Lena 3 more times over those weeks. Never planned as Riley events, just natural overlaps that Nathan stopped trying to avoid. Ice cream again. A trip to the bookstore where Lena bought Riley the next book in her princess series without asking Nathan first, which should have felt presumptuous, but instead felt thoughtful. A Sunday afternoon at the park, where Lena pushed Riley on the swings while Nathan sat on a bench pretending to read work emails, but actually just watching them. Higher, Riley shrieked, her legs pumping. Any higher and you'll achieve orbit, Lena called back, but she pushed harder anyway. Nathan's phone buzzed. Emma, because of course it was Emma. Still just friends? He typed back. Shut up. That's what I thought. When do I get to meet her? Never. You'll interrogate her. Damn right I will. Someone has to make sure she's good enough for my brother. Nathan pocketed his phone, watching Lena count down Riley's last 5 pushes. She was good with kids, natural in a way that suggested she'd thought about having her own more than she'd admitted. Or maybe she was just good with people, period. Either way, Riley had stopped asking if Lena was his girlfriend and started asking when they'd see her again, which felt like a different kind of acceptance. When they finally left the park, Riley immediately conked out in the back seat, the particular exhaustion of a child who'd played hard. Lena walked Nathan to his truck, her hands shoved in her jacket pockets. She's going to sleep well tonight, Lena said. She better. I need to finish inventory reports, and she's been fighting bedtime all week. Fun Friday night planned. Living the dream. Nathan leaned against the truck, suddenly reluctant to leave. They'd been doing this dance for weeks now, extending goodbyes, finding reasons to linger. When's your next shift? Tomorrow evening, then I'm off for 3 days. 3 whole days? What will you do with all that freedom? Sleep, laundry, pretend I'm going to meal prep and then order takeout anyway. Lena smiled. Maybe see you if you're not too buried in inventory reports. I could probably be convinced to take a break. Yeah? Yeah. They looked at each other, the air between them charged with something unspoken. Nathan wanted to kiss her. Had wanted to kiss her for the past 2 weeks, maybe longer. But every time the moment seemed right, something held him back. Fear, maybe. Or the knowledge that kissing changed things, made them real in a way that was harder to walk away from. Lena seemed to sense his hesitation. She reached out and squeezed his hand, the same brief gesture from the ice cream shop, then stepped back. Text me, she said. About those 3 days? I will. He watched her walk to her car, watched her drive away. In the back seat, Riley stirred but didn't wake. Nathan sat there in the parking lot, his hand still warm from Lena's touch, feeling like he was standing on the edge of something significant. That night, after Riley was asleep and the inventory reports were finished, Nathan found himself on Emma's doorstep with a 6-pack of beer and a question he didn't know how to ask. Emma took one look at him and opened the door wider. Jake's at his poker night. Talk to me. They sat on her back porch, the October night cool enough to need jackets. Nathan opened a beer, then didn't drink it, just turned the bottle in his hands. I think I'm falling for her, he said quietly. Emma didn't look surprised. I know. That obvious? You smile more. You check your phone constantly. You haven't complained about being tired in 3 weeks. Emma took a sip of her own beer. You look happy, Nate. Like actually happy, not just content. It's been a long time. I don't know if I know how to do this. The relationship thing. I'm out of practice. Nobody knows how to do it. You just figure it out as you go. But what if I screw it up? What if I mess this up the way I messed up with Sarah? Emma turned to face him, her expression serious. You didn't mess up with Sarah. Sarah messed up Sarah. She made choices that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with her not being ready for the life you were building. But maybe if I'd been different, stop. Don't do that to yourself. Emma's voice was firm. Sarah leaving wasn't your fault, and you need to stop carrying that around like it was. You were a good husband. You've been an incredible father. Sarah's inability to see that is her failure, not yours. Nathan let that sink in, the words he'd needed to hear for 3 years but had been too stubborn to accept. Lena's different, he said finally. She's honest about her limits. She doesn't pretend to be ready for things she's not. But I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Better, Emma said without hesitation. At least you know where you stand. At least she's not lying to you or herself. But what if where I stand isn't enough? What if I want more and she can't give it? Then you'll figure it out together. Or you won't, and you'll both move on. But you can't protect yourself from every possible hurt, Nate. That's not living. That's just surviving. They sat in silence for a while, the kind siblings could share without awkwardness. A dog barked somewhere down the street. A car drove past, bass thumping. Does Riley know? Emma asked eventually. That you're falling for Lena? Riley thinks everyone who's nice to her should be my girlfriend. Last week she suggested I date her teacher because Mrs. Anderson gave her a gold star. Emma laughed. Fair criteria. But yeah, she knows something's different. She asks about Lena, wants to know when we'll see her again. Nathan picked at the label on his beer bottle. I'm trying to be careful. Trying not to let Riley get too attached in case this doesn't work out. Kids are more resilient than you think. And honestly, seeing you in a healthy relationship might be good for her. Show her what that looks like. I don't know if I'd call it a relationship yet. We're just seeing each other, figuring things out. Nate, you text her constantly. You light up when you talk about her. Riley's met her multiple times, and you're sitting on my porch having an existential crisis about your feelings. That's a relationship. Maybe Emma was right. Maybe Nathan had been so busy trying to keep it casual, keep it safe, that he'd missed the moment it became something more. His phone buzzed, Lena's name on the screen. Still up? He typed back. Yeah, you? Can't sleep. Keep thinking about something. What? You. Nathan stared at the message, his heart doing that complicated thing again. Emma was reading over his shoulder, grinning like she'd won the lottery. Oh, you are so gone for this woman. Shut up. But he was smiling as he typed. Good thoughts or bad thoughts? Good thoughts. Wondering what you're doing Wednesday. Working until 3. Why? Want to come over for dinner? Nothing fancy. Just cooking something that isn't takeout for once. Nathan hesitated, his thumb hovering over the keyboard. Dinner at her place. That felt significant, intimate in a way their public meetings hadn't been, a line they hadn't crossed yet. Say yes, Emma hissed. I have Riley. So bring her, or I'll watch her. Say yes, you idiot. Nathan typed, Riley has a thing at school, but I could come after. Around 7? Perfect. I'll text you the address. Emma snatched the phone from his hand. You're going, and you're going to have a good time, and you're going to stop overthinking every single thing. Well, when did you become a relationship expert? I've been married for 8 years. I know things. Emma handed back his phone. Also, wear the blue shirt. It makes your eyes look good. I hate you. You love me. Now go home and stop panicking. Wednesday arrived with the particular anxiety of a man who hadn't been to a woman's apartment for a date in over 3 years. Nathan changed shirts 4 times, finally settling on the blue one Emma had suggested because apparently his sister knew his wardrobe better than he did. Riley watched from his bed, offering commentary. You look nice, Daddy. Thanks, Bug. Are you nervous? Little bit. Why? Lena's nice. She won't be mean to you. Out of the mouths of babes. Nathan crouched down to Riley's level. You're right. She is nice. I'm just being silly. Aunt Emma says being nervous means you care about something. Aunt Emma talks too much. Riley giggled. She says that about you, too. Emma picked up Riley at 6:30, her knowing smile making Nathan want to crawl into a hole. Have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That leaves a pretty wide range of options. Exactly. Now go. Be happy. Let yourself have this. Lena's apartment was in a converted warehouse building downtown, all exposed brick and industrial windows. Nathan found parking on the street, then sat in his truck for 5 minutes doing breathing exercises like he was about to give a presentation instead of have dinner with someone he actually liked. The intercom crackled when he buzzed. Come on up, 3rd floor. Her apartment was small but comfortable, the kind of space that felt lived in rather than decorated. Books stacked on every surface, a cat, orange and fat, sprawled across the back of the couch. Pictures tacked to a corkboard showing Lena with friends, family, a whole life Nathan was just starting to glimpse. That's Hendrix, Lena said, gesturing to the cat. He's useless, but I love him anyway. Relatable. The apartment smelled like garlic and something tomato-based. Lena wore jeans and an old college sweatshirt, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked comfortable, real, and Nathan felt something in his chest relax. I made pasta, Lena said. Nothing fancy. I'm not really a cook, but I can handle pasta. Pasta's perfect. They ate at her small kitchen table, knees bumping in the tight space. The conversation flowed easy, comfortable in a way their early meetings hadn't been. Lena told him about her shift the day before, a traffic accident that had been more scary than serious. Nathan told her about Riley's school thing, a fall festival where she'd won a prize for best costume. Elsa, obviously, because Riley had taste. She's really something, Lena said, twirling pasta on her fork. Riley, you've done an amazing job with her. Most days I feel like I'm winging it. That's just parenting. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just trying not to screw up our kids too badly. Speaking from experience? Speaking from watching my sister with her 3 kids. She's constantly convinced she's failing them, and they're turning out great. Lena took a sip of wine. My parents were the same way. Always worried they weren't doing enough, being enough. Meanwhile, me and my siblings turned out reasonably functional. How many siblings? 2. Older sister, younger brother, classic middle child. Lena smiled. You? Just Emma. She's 2 years younger but acts like she's the older one. Older sisters are the worst. Mine still tries to tell me what to do. They talked through dinner, then moved to the couch with wine, while Hendricks glared at Nathan from his perch like he was invading sacred territory. Lena tucked her feet under her, close enough that Nathan could smell her shampoo, something citrus and clean. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said, her voice quieter now. "Sure." "What are we doing? Really? Because I know we said casual, no pressure, just seeing where it goes. But it's been a month and She paused, searching for words. "I need to know if this is going somewhere or if we're just killing time until one of us gets bored." Nathan set down his wine glass, giving her question the weight it deserved. "I don't think either of us knows how to kill time. We're both too practical for that." "So what is this?" "I don't know. But I know I think about you constantly. I know I look forward to seeing you more than I've looked forward to anything in years. I know that when Riley asks about you, I don't know what to tell her because I don't have words for what this is yet." Lena was quiet, processing. "I told myself I wasn't going to do this. Get involved, get attached. I was going to be single and independent and figure out who I am without someone else. And I like who I am with you. That scares me more than anything." Nathan reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together. "I'm scared too. Terrified, actually. I haven't let myself want something like this since Sarah left. It's easier to just focus on Riley, keep my head down, not risk getting hurt again. But you make me want to risk it anyway." Lena looked at their joined hands, then up at Nathan, her eyes searching his face for something, reassurance maybe, or permission to feel what she was feeling. "I don't want to be someone's rebound," she said quietly. "I don't want to be the person you're using to get over your ex-wife. I need to know that this, whatever this is real." "It's real," Nathan said, and he meant it. "Sarah is my past, you're my present, and maybe if we're both brave enough, you could be my future too." "That's a lot of pressure." "Then forget the future. Just be here, right now, with me." Lena studied him for a long moment, and Nathan could see the war happening behind her eyes. The part of her that wanted to protect herself versus the part that wanted to take the leap. He knew that war intimately, had been fighting it himself for weeks. Then she leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't tentative or questioning. It was certain, deliberate, the kiss of someone who'd made a decision and was committing to it. Nathan's free hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. She tasted like wine and possibility, and when they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "Okay," Lena whispered. "Okay. We're doing this." "We're doing this," Nathan agreed. They kissed again, slower this time, learning each other. Nathan felt years of careful control starting to crack, all the walls he'd built to protect himself crumbling under the weight of wanting this woman. His hands tangled in her hair, her fingers gripped his shoulders. Hendricks meowed his disapproval from across the room. When they finally came up for air, Lena was smiling, her forehead resting against Nathan's. That was, yeah. "We should probably talk about what happens now." "Or," Nathan said, "we could keep doing that and talk later." Lena laughed, the sound filling the apartment. "I like how you think." They stayed on the couch for hours, talking and kissing and existing in the kind of bubble that only new relationships could create. Nathan told her about his fears for Riley, about the guilt he carried for not being enough. Lena told him about her divorce, about the months of therapy it took to rebuild her sense of self-worth. They swapped stories about bad dates and worse decisions, about the years that had led them to this couch, this moment, each other. Around midnight, Nathan's phone buzzed. Emma, checking in with a string of question marks. "I should go," Nathan said, even though he didn't want to. "Riley will be up early and Emma's probably dying of curiosity." "Tell me about it later?" Lena asked, walking him to the door. "There's not much to tell. We had dinner, we talked. He paused, grinning. "We figured some things out." "Is that what we're calling it?" Nathan pulled her close, kissing her once more because he could, because she was his to kiss now. "I'll call you tomorrow." "You better." The drive home felt different, like the city had rearranged itself while he was inside Lena's apartment. The same streets, the same buildings, but Nathan saw them through new eyes. The eyes of someone who'd taken a risk and found it wasn't as scary as he'd thought. He picked up Riley from Emma's the next morning, enduring his sister's knowing looks and pointed questions. "So?" Emma asked, handing him Riley's overnight bag. "So what? Don't play dumb. How was dinner?" "Good. We had pasta." "Nathan Cole, if you don't give me details right now." "It was really good, Em. Better than good. It was right." Emma's expression softened. "Yeah? Yeah." She pulled him into a hug, fierce and quick. "Good. You deserve this. You deserve to be happy." Riley ran out in her pajamas, her hair a disaster. "Daddy, Aunt Emma made pancakes." "Did she save any for me?" "Maybe, if you ask nice." Over pancakes, Riley chattered about her sleepover, about the movie they'd watched, and the fort they'd built. Nathan listened with half his attention, the other half still at Lena's apartment, still on that couch, still feeling the ghost of her kiss. His phone buzzed, Lena's name on the screen. "Morning, how's the pancake situation?" He typed back, "Competitive. Riley's already eaten 4. She's my hero. When can I see you again?" "How about Saturday? I could bring Riley to the park and you could accidentally show up. Or we could plan it like adults and I could come over for dinner, meet Riley in her natural habitat." Nathan's chest tightened. Meeting Riley in their home, in their space. That felt significant, like crossing a threshold they couldn't uncross. "You sure?" he typed. "No, but I want to try anyway." Emma was reading over his shoulder again, grinning. "Say yes, you idiot." Nathan typed, "Saturday at 6. Fair warning, she's obsessed with showing people her rock collection." "I can handle rocks. See you then." Saturday arrived faster than Nathan expected. He spent Friday night cleaning the apartment like his mother was visiting, vacuuming under furniture that hadn't been moved in months, scrubbing the bathroom until it gleamed. Riley watched from the doorway, confused by her father's sudden domesticity. "Why are you cleaning so much?" "Because Lena's coming for dinner." "So, she already knows we live here." "It's polite to clean when you have guests." Riley considered this. "Are you nervous again?" "Maybe a little." "You don't have to be nervous, Daddy. Lena already likes us." Nathan stopped scrubbing and looked at his daughter, at her absolute certainty that anyone who met them would obviously like them. When had he lost that confidence? When had he started assuming rejection was inevitable? "You're right, Bug. She does like us. And we like her." "We do. So everything's fine." Riley skipped off to her room, the matter settled in her 6-year-old mind. Nathan wished it felt that simple. Lena arrived at exactly 6 o'clock, carrying wine and a bag of cookies from the fancy bakery downtown. Riley opened the door before Nathan could get there, already launching into a detailed explanation of her day. "And then Marcus tried to say that his rock was better than my rock, but mine has crystals, and his was just gray and boring, so obviously mine was better." "Obviously," Lena agreed solemnly. "Crystals are superior to boring gray every time." "That's what I said." Riley grabbed Lena's hand, dragging her inside. "Come see my collection. I have 43 rocks now." 43? That's impressive. Nathan watched them disappear into Riley's room, heard Lena asking genuine questions about rock origins and formations, treating Riley's collection with the seriousness it deserved. Something in his chest expanded, making it hard to breathe. This was what he'd been afraid of. Not that Lena wouldn't like Riley, but that she would. That Riley would get attached, and then if things didn't work out, they'd both be heartbroken instead of just him. But watching Lena examine rocks with intense focus, watching Riley glow under the attention, Nathan realized the risk might be worth it. Dinner was chaotic in the way dinners with 6-year-olds always were. Riley talked nonstop, showed Lena every drawing she'd made in the past month, insisted they all play her favorite card game even though the rules made no sense. Lena took it all in stride, laughing at Riley's jokes, patient with her interruptions, naturally adapting to the rhythm of Nathan's household. After dinner, they watched a movie, Riley's choice, another princess adventure. Riley sat between them on the couch, her head gradually drooping toward Lena's shoulder. By the time the credits rolled, she was asleep, her breathing deep and even. "She's out," Lena whispered. "Let me get her to bed." Nathan scooped up Riley, carrying her to her room. She stirred slightly as he tucked her in, mumbling something about crystals before settling back into sleep. He stood there for a moment, watching her, feeling the weight of every decision he made on her behalf. When he came back to the living room, Lena was cleaning up dishes, rinsing plates in the sink. "You don't have to do that," Nathan said. "I know, but I want to help." They cleaned together in comfortable silence, a domestic rhythm that felt both foreign and familiar. When the kitchen was clean, they ended up back on the couch, close but not touching, both aware of Riley sleeping down the hall. "She's amazing," Lena said quietly. "You're raising an amazing kid. Most of the time, I'm just trying not to mess her up." "You're not messing her up. You're giving her stability and love and the space to be herself. That's huge." Nathan turned to face her. "Can I tell you something?" "Always. I'm terrified of this. Of us. Because if it's just me getting hurt, I can handle that. But if Riley gets hurt, if she gets attached to you and then you leave," his voice cracked, "I don't know if I could forgive myself for letting that happen." Lena reached for his hand. "I can't promise I won't leave. I can't promise this will work out perfectly and we'll live happily ever after. But I can promise I won't leave carelessly. I won't disappear without explanation. And I won't hurt Riley if I can help it." "How can you promise that?" "Because I've been the one left behind. I know what that feels like. I wouldn't do that to someone else, especially not to a kid." Lena's eyes were steady, serious. "I'm scared too, Nathan. I'm scared of getting hurt again. Scared of not being enough. Scared of all of it. But I think you're worth being scared for." Nathan kissed her then, soft and careful, aware of Riley down the hall, aware of everything this moment meant. When they broke apart, Lena was smiling. "So where do we go from here?" she asked. "I don't know. Forward, I guess. Together." "Together," Lena echoed. "I like the sound of that." They talked until almost midnight, voices low, sharing space on the couch like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. When Lena finally left, Nathan walked her to her car, kissing her goodbye under the streetlight like a teenager. "Same time next week?" Lena asked. "Or sooner, if you want." "I want." Nathan watched her drive away, then went back inside to his quiet apartment, his sleeping daughter, his life that was slowly becoming something bigger than just survival. He was falling in love, had probably already fallen, and for the first time since Sarah left, that didn't feel like a disaster waiting to happen. It felt like hope. The weeks that followed their conversation on the couch became a study in gradual integration, like two puzzle pieces discovering they fit together in ways neither had expected. Lena started showing up at the apartment more regularly, sometimes planned, sometimes spontaneous when her shift ended early and she was too wired to go home. Riley stopped asking when they'd see her and started assuming she'd be there, setting 3 plates at dinner without being asked. Nathan tried not to read too much into it, tried not to let hope outpace reality. But it was getting harder to maintain that careful distance when Lena knew where they kept the extra coffee filters, and Riley had started drawing pictures that included all 3 of them. November brought colder weather and Riley's 7th birthday, which she'd been planning with the intensity of a military operation since October. She wanted a party at the park, complete with a scavenger hunt, a piñata shaped like a unicorn, and very specific instructions about cake flavor. "Chocolate with vanilla frosting," Riley informed Nathan for the 100th time. "Not vanilla with chocolate frosting. That's completely different." "Completely different," Nathan agreed, adding it to the list that was already 2 pages long. Emma was helping with logistics, naturally. She'd taken over party planning the way generals took over war rooms, coordinating with parents, organizing supplies, making spreadsheets that Nathan found both excessive and comforting. "Is Lena coming?" Emma asked during one of their planning sessions, her tone deliberately casual. "I invited her. She said she'd try, but she's working that weekend." "She should come. Riley would love it." "I know, but I don't want to push. We're still figuring this out." Emma gave him a look that suggested she thought they'd figured it out already, and he was just being stubborn, but she didn't push. That was the thing about Emma. She knew when to let things be. The party was scheduled for Saturday afternoon, and Nathan spent Friday night blowing up balloons until his head hurt and assembling a scavenger hunt that Riley had helped design but insisted had to be a surprise. Lena had texted that morning to say she'd try to swing by after her shift, no promises, don't wait for her. Nathan told himself it was fine either way. Riley would have her friends, her cake, her carefully orchestrated celebration. Lena's presence would be a bonus, not a necessity. But when Saturday arrived and Riley asked for the fifth time if Lena was coming, Nathan realized his daughter was hoping for more than just a bonus. "I don't know, Bug. She's working and she might not be able to make it." "But it's my birthday." "I know, but sometimes grown-ups have jobs they can't leave, even for important things." Riley's face fell in that particular way that made Nathan's chest ache. "Oh. Hey." He crouched down to her level, hands on her shoulders. "Whether Lena comes or not, you're going to have an amazing party. Sophia's coming, and Marcus, and all your friends from school. Aunt Emma made that unicorn piñata you wanted. We've got the scavenger hunt and the cake and everything on your list." "I know." Riley's voice was small. "I just wanted her to be here." "I know you did. So do I." The party started at 2 o'clock, and by 2:15, the park was chaos. 12 7-year-olds running in 12 different directions, parents clustered in groups trying to maintain some semblance of control, and Emma orchestrating everything with a whistle and a clipboard. Nathan found himself checking his phone more than he should, looking for a text that didn't come. Lena was working, probably dealing with actual emergencies, actual people who needed her. A kid's birthday party didn't rate on that scale, and Nathan knew that. But the disappointment sat heavy in his chest anyway. Riley threw herself into the party with the determination of someone trying very hard not to be sad. She led the scavenger hunt, demolished the piñata with a plastic bat, and blew out her candles while everyone sang off key. But Nathan caught her glancing toward the parking lot every few minutes, looking for someone who wasn't there. It was almost 4 o'clock, the party winding down, when a familiar beat-up Honda Civic pulled into the lot. Riley saw it first. "Daddy! Daddy, she came!" Lena got out of the car, still in her scrubs, her hair pulled back in that same messy bun. She looked exhausted, like she'd come straight from a 12-hour shift, which she probably had. But she was smiling, carrying a wrapped present, walking toward them like she'd planned to be there all along. Riley launched herself at Lena with enough force to nearly knock her over. "You came! I thought you weren't coming." "I almost didn't make it," Lena admitted, hugging Riley back. "But I couldn't miss your birthday. 7 is a big deal." "It really is. I'm practically a grown-up now." "Practically," Lena agreed, her eyes meeting Nathan's over Riley's head. He mouthed "thank you," and she smiled, tired but genuine. The party wrapped up shortly after, parents collecting their sugar-crashed children, Emma supervising cleanup with military precision. Riley insisted Lena help her open presents, narrating the contents of each package with detailed commentary. "This is a book about dragons. Dragons are cool, but not as cool as unicorns. Oh, this is art supplies. Daddy, can we do art tonight?" "We'll see, Bug." Lena's present was the last, a leather-bound journal with blank pages and a set of colored pencils. "For your stories," Lena explained. "Your dad mentioned you like making up adventures." Riley's eyes went wide. "This is the best present ever." "Better than the Lego set?" Nathan asked, amused. "Tied for best. Can I write in it now?" "After we clean up and get home, and maybe after you come down from the sugar high." They loaded the car with presents and leftover cake, Emma hugging Riley and telling her happy birthday one more time before heading out. That left Nathan, Riley, and Lena standing in the parking lot as the sun started to sink lower. "Thank you for coming," Nathan said quietly. "It meant a lot. To both of us." "I'm glad I made it." Lena glanced at Riley, who was already flipping through her new journal in the back seat. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have her." "You're both lucky to have each other." Lena hesitated, then asked, "Do you have plans for tonight, or are you partied out?" "Riley will probably crash by 7. "Why?" "I was thinking maybe I could come over. Bring takeout. We could just exist, if you're not too tired." Nathan wasn't tired. Or maybe he was, but the kind of tired that disappeared when Lena was around. "I'd like that." "Good. Give me an hour to shower and change. I'll text when I'm on my way." She left, and Nathan drove Riley home, listening to her chatter about the party, about her friends, about how Lena had actually come even though she was working. There was a joy in Riley's voice that had been missing earlier, a completeness that made Nathan's chest tight. Lena showed up 90 minutes later with Thai food and a change of clothes, looking more like herself in jeans and a sweater. Riley was still awake, barely, sitting at the kitchen table with her new journal and writing with intense concentration. "What are you working on?" Lena asked, setting down the food. "A story about a princess who doesn't need saving. She saves other people instead." "That's a great story. Can I read it when you're done?" "Maybe, if it's good enough." They ate dinner together, the three of them squeezed around a table meant for two, and Nathan felt something shift. Not dramatic, not earth-shattering, just a quiet settling, like pieces finding their places. This was what family could look like, messy and imperfect and absolutely right. Riley made it until 7:30 before her eyes started drooping. Nathan carried her to bed, tucking her in with her new journal on the nightstand. "Daddy?" she mumbled, half asleep already. "Yeah, Bug? I'm glad Lena came." "Me too. I really like her. I know you do." "Do you think she likes us?" Nathan smoothed her hair back from her forehead. "I know she does." "Good." Riley's eyes closed. "Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, Riley. Happy birthday." When he came back to the living room, Lena had cleaned up dinner and was curled up on the couch with Hendrix, who'd apparently made the trip in Lena's car and was now claiming the entire couch cushion as his territory. "When did you bring the cat?" Nathan asked. "He was in the car. I couldn't leave him in the parking lot, could I?" "You brought your cat to a kid's birthday party. He stayed in the car. He was fine." Lena scratched Hendrix behind the ears. "Besides, I figured if I'm going to start spending more time here, I should test how he handles new environments." Nathan sat down beside her, careful not to disturb the cat. "Are you going to start spending more time here? If that's okay. If I'm not overstepping." "You're not overstepping." Nathan reached for her hand. "I want you here. Riley wants you here. But I need to know this is what you want too. Not what you think we need, not what you're trying to force yourself to be ready for. What you actually want." Lena was quiet for a moment, her thumb tracing patterns on the back of his hand. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm scared of how fast this is moving, how much I care about both of you already. A few months ago, I was convinced I needed to be alone, needed to figure myself out before getting involved with anyone. And then you happened. And now? And now I'm realizing that maybe figuring myself out doesn't have to happen in isolation. Maybe it's okay to grow while building something with someone else." She looked at him, her eyes serious. "I want this, Nathan. I want you and Riley, and whatever messy, complicated thing we're building together. But I need you to be patient with me. I'm still learning how to do this." "We're both learning. That's the whole point." They kissed then, soft and slow, Hendrix meowing his objection at being disturbed. When they broke apart, Lena was smiling. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we keep doing what we're doing, taking it one day at a time." "That simple?" "That simple. Except it wasn't simple. Not really." The weeks that followed were a constant negotiation of boundaries and expectations, of figuring out what this new shape of their lives looked like. Lena started keeping a toothbrush at Nathan's apartment, then a change of clothes, then half a drawer. It happened gradually, naturally, until one day Nathan realized she'd become a permanent fixture in their daily routine. Riley adjusted faster than Nathan expected, accepting Lena's presence with the easy adaptability of children. She started calling her Lena instead of Daddy's friend, started saving stories from school specifically to tell her, started assuming she'd be at dinner unless explicitly told otherwise. But there were complications too. Nights when Lena worked double shifts and Riley asked why she couldn't just quit and spend more time with them, not understanding that adult responsibilities didn't work that way. Mornings when Nathan woke up to find Lena already gone, leaving only a note and the faint smell of her shampoo. Moments when the careful balance they'd created felt fragile, like one wrong move could shatter everything. The first real fight happened in December, 3 months into whatever they were calling this relationship. Nathan came home from work to find Lena already at the apartment, helping Riley with homework at the kitchen table. "Hey," he said, surprised. "I didn't know you were coming over. I had the afternoon off, figured I'd let myself in and help Riley with her math." Lena gestured to the papers spread across the table. "Hope that's okay." It should have been okay. It should have been sweet, even. But something in Nathan bristled at finding her there without warning, at the assumption that she could just show up whenever she wanted. "I need to talk to you," he said quietly. "Riley, can you go play for a few minutes?" "But we're not done with homework." "Now, Riley." Riley looked between them, sensing tension, then gathered her papers and disappeared to her room. Lena stood, arms crossed. "What's wrong?" "You can't just show up here whenever you want." "I have a key. You gave me a key." "For emergencies. Not to just let yourself in without asking." "I texted you. You didn't respond." Nathan pulled out his phone, saw the message he'd missed during a warehouse inventory crisis. "Okay, but still, this is my home. Riley's home. You can't just... Just what? Act like I'm part of this?" Lena's voice was sharp now, defensive. "Because you're the one who said you wanted this, Nathan. You're the one who said we should build something together." "I do want that. But I also need boundaries. I need to know you're not just going to take over." "Take over?" Lena laughed, bitter. "I'm helping your daughter with her homework, not redecorating your apartment." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you want me around when it's convenient and gone when it's not." Nathan ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You tell me you want me here, you introduce me to your daughter, you give me a key. But the second I actually act like I belong here, you pull back. So which is it, Nathan? Am I part of this or not?" The question hung between them, heavy and unavoidable. Nathan thought about Sarah, about how she'd slowly taken over his life until he didn't recognize himself anymore, about how he'd lost himself in trying to make her happy, trying to be what she needed. "I don't want to disappear again," he said quietly. "Last time I was in a serious relationship, I stopped being me. I became just a husband, just someone's partner. And when she left, I didn't know who I was anymore." Lena's expression softened. "I'm not asking you to disappear. I'm asking you to let me in." "I am letting you in." "Are you? Because it feels like you've got one foot out the door, just waiting for this to fall apart so you can say you were right to be careful." "Maybe I do," Nathan admitted. "Maybe I'm terrified that if I let you all the way in, you'll leave like she did, and this time it won't just be me getting hurt. It'll be Riley, too." They stood there in his kitchen, the silence thick with everything they weren't saying. Down the hall, Riley's music box played, tinny and distant. "I can't promise I'll never leave," Lena said finally. "I can't promise this will work out perfectly. But I can promise I'm not Sarah. I'm not going to use you and abandon you. I'm here because I want to be here, not because I'm settling until something better comes along." "How do I know that?" "You don't. That's the whole point of trust, Nathan. You take a leap and hope the other person catches you." He wanted to argue, to find a way to protect himself and Riley from potential heartbreak. But Lena was right. At some point, he had to choose trust over fear. Had to decide whether this thing between them was worth the risk. "I'm sorry," he said. "You're right. I'm sabotaging this because I'm scared." "I know, and I'm sorry too. I should have been more considerate about boundaries. This is your space, and I need to respect that." They stood there for another moment, neither quite ready to close the distance. Then Lena stepped forward, wrapping her arms around him, and Nathan let himself lean into her. "We're really bad at this," she murmured against his shoulder. "Terrible. We should probably just give up now." "Absolutely. Cut our losses." Neither of them moved. Riley appeared in the doorway, cautious. "Are you done fighting?" "We weren't fighting," Nathan said. "Yes, you were. I could hear you." "Okay, we were having a disagreement, but we're done now." Oh, Riley studied them with the unnerving perception of children who saw too much. "Are you going to break up?" "No," Lena said firmly. "We're not breaking up. We're just learning how to do this better." "Oh, okay." Riley seemed satisfied with this answer. "Can we finish my homework now? I have 7 more problems." They finished the homework together, the 3 of them crowded around the table, and slowly the tension from earlier dissolved into something easier. When Riley went to bed, Nathan and Lena stayed up talking, working through the argument properly this time, establishing boundaries and expectations that they should have discussed months ago. "I'll text before I come over," Lena said. "Even if I have a key. This is your space and I should respect that. And I'll try to be better about letting you in.
Actually letting you in, not just saying I will and then freaking out when you do. Deal.
They shook on it, then laughed at the formality of it, the same way they had in the parking lot months ago when this whole thing started. We're going to mess this up again, Lena said. Probably. Multiple times. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Christmas came with its own complications. Emma invited them all to her place for the family gathering, which meant introducing Lena to extended family, to aunts and uncles and cousins who would ask too many questions and make too many assumptions. You don't have to come, Nathan told Lena. If it's too much too soon, I understand. Do you want me there? Yes, but I also don't want to pressure you. Nathan, do you want me at your family Christmas? He thought about Christmas morning with Riley, about opening presents and making pancakes and all the traditions they'd built over the years. Then he thought about adding Lena to those traditions, about the way Riley's face lit up whenever she walked in the room.
Yeah, I want you there. Then I'll be there. Christmas morning was chaos in the best way. Riley woke them up at 6 a.m., vibrating with excitement, demanding they open presents immediately. Lena had stayed over the night before, in Nathan's bed, a line they'd crossed carefully and deliberately, and stumbled out to the living room in one of his old t-shirts, looking adorably disheveled. Riley had bought her a present with her own money, a ceramic cat that was supposed to look like Hendrix, but mostly just looked lumpy and strange. I made it at school, Riley explained, in art class. Do you like it? Lena held it like it was made of glass, her eyes suspiciously bright. I love it. It's perfect. Really? Because Marcus said it looked weird. Marcus has no taste. This is art. Riley beamed, and Nathan felt his chest constrict with something too big to name.
Lena had gotten Riley the microscope set, because apparently she remembered every detail of every conversation, including the one where Riley had mentioned wanting to look at leaves up close. This is so cool, Riley shrieked, already pulling out the slides. For Nathan, Lena had gotten a leather journal, similar to the one she'd given Riley, but bigger. For your thoughts, she said quietly while Riley was distracted. You're always in your head. Maybe writing it down would help. Nathan kissed her, careful and grateful. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. The family gathering that evening was exactly as overwhelming as Nathan expected. Emma's house was packed with relatives, kids running everywhere, the noise level approaching dangerous decibels. Nathan introduced Lena to what felt like 40 people, watching his aunts size her up with the sharp eyes of women who'd been waiting years for him to date again. She's lovely, Aunt Marie said, pulling Nathan aside. But is it serious? It's getting there. And Riley likes her? Riley adores her. Marie nodded, satisfied. Good. You deserve to be happy, Nathan. Both of you do. He found Lena in the kitchen later, helping Emma with dishes despite Emma's protests. Your family is intense, Lena said, but she was smiling. That's putting it mildly. You okay? I'm good. Everyone's been really welcoming. They like you. How can you tell? Because Aunt Marie interrogated you for 20 minutes and you're still here. That's the approval process. They stayed until Riley started fading, her energy finally depleted by the combination of Christmas morning and sensory overload. The drive home was quiet, Riley asleep in the back seat, Lena's hand resting on Nathan's leg. Thank you for today, Nathan said. For what? For being here, for meeting everyone, for just showing up. That's what you do when you care about someone. You show up. When they got home, Nathan carried Riley to bed while Lena let Hendrix out of his carrier. She'd brought him over that morning, another small sign of integration. They ended up on the couch, Lena tucked against Nathan's side, both of them too tired to move. I got you something else, Lena said quietly. But I wanted to wait until we were alone. She pulled a small box from her pocket, and Nathan's heart started hammering. It was too small to be a ring, but still. Inside was a key. His key, the one he'd given her months ago. I don't understand, he said. I want to give this back to you, Lena said. Not because I don't want it, but because I want you to give it to me again, for real this time. Not for emergencies, not with 1,000 caveats. I want you to give me this key because I'm part of your life. Because this is my home too. Nathan stared at the key, at Lena's face, at the vulnerability in her expression. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I love you, Nathan. I love Riley. I love this messy, complicated life we're building, and I want to make it official, or as official as a key can make it. I love you too, Nathan said, the words coming easier than he expected. I have for a while now. I was just too scared to say it. And now? Now I'm still scared. But I'm more scared of losing you. He took the key and put it back in her hand, folding her fingers around it. This is yours. For real this time. Come and go as you please. This is your home too. Lena kissed him, and it tasted like promise and possibility, and all the things they were still too scared to say out loud but were learning to trust anyway. They fell asleep on the couch that night, wrapped around each other, Hendrix purring on the armrest. And when Nathan woke up in the middle of the night, stiff and uncomfortable, he didn't move. He just held Lena closer and let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, this was going to work. January brought snow and the kind of cold that made Nathan's bones ache, but it also brought a rhythm to their lives that felt almost normal. Lena's things continued migrating to the apartment in small increments, her favorite coffee mug appearing in the cabinet, her scrubs in the laundry basket, her presence woven so completely into their daily routine that Nathan couldn't remember what mornings felt like before her. Riley had stopped asking when Lena was coming over and started asking when she was coming home, a shift in language that made Nathan's chest tight every time he heard it. They were becoming a unit, the three of them, something that looked suspiciously like a family, even if nobody had officially labeled it that way yet. But with integration came complications neither of them had fully anticipated. It started small. Lena suggesting they move Riley's bedtime to 8:30 instead of 8 because she'd read an article about sleep patterns. Nathan bristling at the implication that his parenting needed improvement. A tense conversation about discipline after Lena had sent Riley to her room for talking back, overstepping in a way that made Nathan defensive even though Lena had been right. They navigated these moments with varying degrees of success, sometimes talking through them, sometimes letting them fester until they exploded into arguments that left them both exhausted and frustrated. I'm not trying to replace you, Lena said after one particularly difficult evening. I'm trying to help. I know, but sometimes help feels like criticism. And sometimes you're so determined to do everything yourself that you won't let anyone in. They were both right. They were both wrong. They were learning to be a family, and learning hurt. February came with Riley's school play, a production of some fairy tale Nathan had never heard of where Riley played a tree. Not the princess, not the villain, just a tree that stood in the background and waved her branches on cue. I'm the most important tree, Riley had explained with absolute seriousness. Without me, the whole forest falls apart. Nathan and Lena sat in the elementary school auditorium, squeezed into tiny chairs designed for people half their size, surrounded by other parents wielding cameras like weapons. Emma sat on Nathan's other side, grinning at his discomfort. This is adorable, as Emma whispered. This is torture. These chairs are a crime against humanity. Shh. I want to see your daughter be a tree. Riley was magnificent as far as trees went. She swayed exactly when she was supposed to, held her branch pose without fidgeting, and only broke character once when one of the other kids forgot their line, and she whispered it loud enough for the first 3 rows to hear. Lena recorded the whole thing on her phone, laughing quietly when Riley enthusiastically waved her branches during the finale. She's a natural, Lena murmured. She's something, Nathan agreed. After the play, Riley ran to them still in her tree costume, leaves sticking out at odd angles. Did you see me? I didn't mess up. You were perfect, Lena said, pulling her into a hug. Best tree I've ever seen. Really? Absolutely. You have a real future in professional tree acting. Riley giggled, then turned to Nathan. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? It's February. It's freezing. Ice cream doesn't have a season, Daddy. That's what Lena says. Nathan looked at Lena, who shrugged, grinning. I may have said that. They went for ice cream, the 4 of them, Emma joining because she never missed an opportunity for sugar. The ice cream shop was nearly empty, everyone else apparently more sensible about eating frozen desserts in winter. They claimed a table by the window, watching snow start to fall outside. So, Emma said, her tone deliberately casual. How long have you two been living together now? Nathan nearly choked on his vanilla. We're not living together. Really? Because Lena's at your place basically every night. That's different. How? Lena jumped in, trying to help. I still have my apartment. My lease doesn't end until June. But you're never there, Emma pointed out. Your cat lives at Nathan's. Your clothes are there. You help with Riley's homework and bedtime. That's living together. Riley looked up from her chocolate chunk. Are you and Lena living together, Daddy? It's complicated, Bug. Why? Out of the mouths of babes. Nathan looked at Lana, saw his own uncertainty reflected back at him. They'd been avoiding this conversation for weeks, dancing around the obvious truth that Lena had essentially moved in without any formal discussion about it. Why don't you ask Lena? Emma suggested, clearly enjoying this far too much. Lena shot her a look, then turned to Riley. Your dad and I are still figuring things out, but yeah, I guess I do spend a lot of time at your place. So you live with us. In a way, then why do you still have another apartment? It was a fair question, one Nathan had been wondering himself but had been too scared to ask. Lena paid rent on a place she barely visited, kept her name on a lease like she was hedging her bets, maintaining an exit strategy in case things fell apart. Good question, Riley, Emma said, grinning. You're not helping, Nathan muttered. But Riley had already moved on, distracted by her ice cream and the snow outside. The adults sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment before Emma mercifully changed the subject. That night, after Riley was asleep and they were getting ready for bed, Nathan finally asked the question that had been sitting in his chest like a stone. Do you want to move in? Officially, I mean, not just leaving your stuff here and pretending you still live somewhere else. Lena paused in the middle of brushing her teeth, meeting his eyes in the bathroom mirror. She rinsed, dried her mouth, taking her time with the answer. Do you want me to? I asked you first. And I'm asking what you want. Because this is a big step, Nathan. This is bringing someone into your home, into Riley's home. I need to know you're ready for that. Nathan thought about the past few months, about how right it felt to wake up next to her, to share coffee in the morning, to navigate the chaos of getting Riley ready for school together. He thought about the empty nights when Lena worked overnight shifts, how the apartment felt too quiet, too hollow without her. I'm ready, he said. I want you here. Not just visiting, not just staying over, here, permanently. Permanently is a big word. I know, but I mean it. Lena was quiet for a long moment, and Nathan felt his heart hammering against his ribs. This was it, the moment where she either committed or pulled back, where they either became something real or stayed in this limbo of almost but not quite. My lease ends in June, she said finally. What if we make it official then? Give us a few more months to be sure, to work out the logistics. And then I don't renew. And we do this for real. It wasn't the immediate yes Nathan had been hoping for, but it was something, a timeline, a plan, a future that included both of them. Okay, he said. June. June, Lena repeated, and she kissed him like it was a promise. The months between February and June became a study in patience and planning. They talked about logistics, where Lena's furniture would go, how they'd combine their lives, what it would mean for Riley to have another adult permanently in her space. They had conversations about money, about splitting bills, about the 1,000 tiny practical details that came with merging two lives into one. But they also had conversations about the future, about what they wanted their family to look like. Lena admitted she'd been thinking about kids again, about whether it was too late, whether it was fair to want that when Riley was already 7 and Nathan had already done the baby years alone. It's not too late, Nathan told her. And if that's something you want, we can talk about it. Really talk about it. Would you want more kids? Nathan thought about it honestly, about sleepless nights and diapers and starting over from scratch, about giving Riley a sibling, about expanding their family beyond just the 3 of them. I don't know, he admitted, but I'm not opposed to it. If it's something you really want, we can figure it out. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. It's a, let's see where we are in a year or 2. Lena nodded, satisfied with the answer that wasn't really an answer. They had time. That was the whole point. They were building something meant to last, not rushing towards some predetermined finish line. March brought Riley's spring break and a decision to take a trip together. Nothing fancy, just a long weekend at a cabin in the mountains, the three of them plus Hendrix, who apparently couldn't be left alone for 3 days. It was their first real vacation together, their first time existing outside their normal routines and responsibilities. Nathan worried about it more than he wanted to admit, worried that the forced proximity would expose cracks in their foundation, that Riley would get homesick or Lena would realize she'd made a mistake. But the weekend was easy in a way nothing else had been. They hiked trails that Riley complained about but secretly enjoyed, made s'mores in the fireplace, played board games that Lena let Riley win. Nathan watched them together, watched Lena's patience with Riley's endless questions, watched Riley's complete trust in Lena's presence, and felt something settle in his chest. This was his family. Not the family he'd planned, not the family he'd expected, but his family nonetheless. On their last night, after Riley had gone to bed, Nathan and Lena sat on the cabin's small porch, wrapped in blankets, watching stars that were actually visible away from the city lights. "I could get used to this," Lena said quietly. "Mountains and stars. This. Us. The three of us." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I was so scared when we started. Scared I wasn't ready. Scared I'd mess it up. Scared I'd hurt Riley. Or you. Or both of you. But this feels right. Like this is where I'm supposed to be." "You are," Nathan said. "You've always been supposed to be here. We just had to find you." "That's very romantic for a warehouse supervisor. I have my moments." They sat in comfortable silence, and Nathan thought about the journey that had brought them here, the coffee shop where they'd met, the awkward first dates, the gradual integration of their lives, all the moments of doubt and fear and choosing to trust anyway. "When we get back," Lena said, "I'm going to give my landlord notice. I don't want to wait until June. I want to come home. To our home. Now." Nathan's chest constricted. "You sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." They kissed under stars that felt like witnesses, and Nathan let himself believe that happy endings were possible after all. April brought Lena's official move-in date, boxes stacked in their living room, her furniture arriving to be integrated with his. Riley supervised the entire operation like a tiny general, telling the movers exactly where everything should go. "That couch goes there. No, there. That's where it belongs." "Riley, maybe let the adults decide where the furniture goes," Nathan suggested. "But I live here too. I should get a say." She had a point. They let her weigh in on placement, and by the end of the day, the apartment looked different but right. Lena's books on the shelves next to Nathan's, her art on the walls, her coffee maker next to his. 2 lives fully merged into one space. That night, after everything was unpacked and Riley was asleep, they sat on Lena's couch, their couch now, and just breathed. "We did it," Lena said. "We did it. I'm officially homeless except for here." "You're officially home," Lena smiled, tired and happy. "Yeah, I am." May brought unexpected complications in the form of a letter from Sarah. Nathan came home from work to find it in the mailbox, his ex-wife's handwriting still familiar after all these years. His hand shook as he opened it, Lana watching from across the room with worried eyes. The letter was brief. Sarah was in town for work, wanted to see Riley, thought maybe they could talk about establishing some kind of relationship. She'd been in therapy, had been working on herself, was ready to try to be a mother again. Nathan read it 3 times, feeling the old anger rising in his chest. After 4 years of silence, after signing away her rights, after abandoning them both, she wanted back in. Wanted to disrupt the life they'd built without her. "What are you going to do?" Lena asked quietly. "I don't know." "Do you want her in Riley's life?" "I don't know that either. Riley barely remembers her. She's got you now. She's got stability. Why would I introduce chaos back into her world?" "Because she's Riley's mother. Because Riley might want to know her." Nathan looked at Lena, saw the fear hidden behind her practical words. Fear that Sarah would come back and take her place, that Riley would choose her biological mother over the woman who'd been there every day for the past 6 months. "You're Riley's mother in every way that counts," Nathan said firmly. "Sarah being here doesn't change that. But it might change things for Riley. Maybe. But we'll figure it out together." They talked it over for days, weighing options and outcomes. Finally, Nathan decided to tell Riley about the letter, let her make the choice about whether she wanted to see Sarah. Riley's reaction surprised him. "I don't remember her," she said, sitting on Nathan's lap at the kitchen table. "Is that bad?" "No, Bug. You were very young when she left." "Will she leave again?" It was the question Nathan had been asking himself. "I don't know, maybe." Riley thought about this, her face serious. "I don't want to see her right now. Maybe when I'm older and it won't hurt so much if she leaves again." Nathan felt his throat tighten. When had his daughter become so wise, so aware of her own emotional safety? "That's okay," he told her. "You don't have to see her if you're not ready." "Will you tell her?" "I will." "And will Lena be mad? That I don't want to meet my real mom?" Lena had been quiet through this whole conversation, letting Nathan and Riley talk. Now she knelt down beside them. "I'm not your real mom," Lena said gently. "I'm your Lena. That's different. Your real mom is the person who gave birth to you, but family isn't just about biology. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you even when it's hard. And I'm going to keep showing up for you no matter what." "Promise?" "Promise." Riley seemed satisfied with this. She hugged Lena, then went back to her homework like she hadn't just made a decision that would affect the rest of her life. Nathan wrote back to Sarah that night, keeping it brief. Riley wasn't ready to meet her yet, but maybe someday when she was older. He wished her well, hoped her therapy was helping, but asked her to respect their boundaries. He didn't hear back. Sarah didn't push, didn't demand her rights or threaten legal action. She just disappeared again, as quietly as she'd reappeared. "You okay?" Lena asked that night. "Yeah, I think I am." Nathan pulled her closer. "I spent so long being angry at her, so long wondering what I did wrong. But now I just feel nothing. She's not part of our story anymore. You are." "We are," Lena corrected. "All three of us." June arrived with summer heat and Riley's last day of first grade. She brought home a folder full of artwork and tests, chattering about her plans for summer. "Can we go to the beach? And the zoo? And that place with the trampolines?" "We'll see, Bug. I have to work." "But Lena has days off. Maybe she can take me sometimes?" Nathan glanced at Lena, who was making dinner, humming to herself. 6 months ago, the idea of Lena taking Riley somewhere without him would have made him anxious. Now it just felt natural. "If Lena's willing," he said. "I'm willing," Lena called from the kitchen. "But you're helping me plan the itinerary, Riley. I don't know anything about kid-friendly beaches." They spent that summer building traditions, creating memories. Beach days where Riley collected shells and Lena got sunburned despite Nathan's warnings. Zoo trips where they spent 3 hours at the penguin exhibit because Riley was convinced one of them winked at her. Lazy Sunday mornings where they made pancakes together, the kitchen a disaster but their hearts full. Emma visited one Sunday in July, finding them all on the couch watching a movie. Riley sprawled across both adults, Hendrix claiming the armrest. "You look domestic," Emma observed. "We are domestic," Nathan said. "It's weird seeing you happy." "Thanks?" "I mean it. You were so shut down for so long, and now look at you." Emma smiled at Lena. "Whatever you did, it worked." "I didn't do anything," Lena said. "He did this himself. I just showed up." "She keeps showing up," Nathan corrected. "That's the important part." August brought discussions about the future, about whether this apartment was big enough for the three of them long term, about whether they should look for a house with a yard for Riley to play in. They toured a few places. Nothing serious, just getting a sense of what was out there. "This one has 3 bedrooms," the realtor said at one showing. "Perfect for a growing family." Nathan caught Lena's eye, saw the question there. They'd talked about kids in abstract terms, but this made it concrete. A 3rd bedroom, a potential sibling for Riley. "We'll think about it," Nathan told the realtor. In the car afterward, Riley in the back seat with headphones on, Lena asked, "Are we ready for this? A house, a mortgage, the whole thing?" "I don't know. Are we?" "I think we might be. I think we've been ready for a while and we're just scared to admit it." She was right. They'd been living like they were temporary, like any day the other shoe might drop. But months had passed, seasons had changed, and they were still here, still choosing each other every single day. "Let's do it," Nathan said. "Let's find a house. Make this permanent."
Permanent, Lena echoed, smiling. I like the sound of that. September brought an offer on a small house in a good school district, 3 bedrooms and a backyard that Riley could grow into. They closed in October, moving day a chaotic mess of boxes and furniture, and Riley running through empty rooms claiming each one for different purposes. This is my room. No, this is my room. Actually, this one. You can only have one room, Riley, Nathan reminded her, but they're all so good. They settled on the room with the window that overlooked the backyard, and Riley immediately started planning how she'd decorate it. Lena helped her measure for curtains. The two of them bent over a tape measure with intense concentration. Nathan stood in the doorway watching them, feeling the weight and wonder of everything they'd built. This house, this family, this life that had started with a chance meeting in a coffee shop. Hey, Lena said, noticing him. You okay? Yeah, just thinking about how we got here. Long way from that first coffee, huh? Longest journey I've ever taken. Was it worth it? Nathan looked at Riley, already making plans for her new space. At Lena, smiling at him from across the room. At the house they'd chosen together, the life they were building. Every single step. November brought Thanksgiving in their new house, Emma and her family coming over, filling the space with noise and laughter. Nathan cooked a turkey that was slightly overdone, but nobody complained. Lena made side dishes that Riley actually ate. Emma brought wine and commentary. After dinner, while Riley showed her cousins her new room, the adults sat around the table with coffee. You've done well, Emma told Nathan. This house, this family. I'm proud of you. Thanks, Em. I mean it. After Sarah left, I thought, I don't know what I thought, that you'd shut down forever maybe, that you'd never let anyone in again. I almost didn't, but you did. You chose to be brave. Nathan glanced at Lena, who was talking to Emma's husband about hospital politics. I didn't have much choice. She didn't give me room to hide. The best ones never do. December brought their second Christmas together, but the first in their own house. They decorated with Riley's help, the tree slightly crooked, ornaments clustered in random groups because Riley insisted on doing it herself. It was chaotic and imperfect and absolutely right. On Christmas Eve, after Riley was asleep, Nathan and Lena sat on the couch with hot chocolate, looking at their slightly disastrous tree. We should probably fix that, Lena said, gesturing to where all the ornaments had migrated to the bottom third. Nah, it's perfect the way it is. It's a disaster. It's our disaster, Lena laughed, leaning into him. I can't believe it's been over a year since that first Christmas. Feels like forever. Feels like yesterday. Both, Lena agreed. Hey, I got you something. We already exchanged presents. This is different. She pulled a small box from behind a couch cushion, nervous in a way Nathan rarely saw her. Inside was a key. Not their house key. Nathan recognized it as the key to Lena's storage unit, where she kept the few things that hadn't fit in the house. I don't understand, Nathan said. That storage unit has my old stuff. Furniture from my marriage, boxes I haven't opened since the divorce, all the things I was holding on to just in case. Lena took a breath. I'm getting rid of all of it. I'm letting go of the past completely. And I wanted you to have this key because I want you to know I'm all in. No backup plans, no exit strategies. This is it for me. You, Riley, this life. I'm home. Nathan's throat was tight. Lena, I love you. I love Riley. I love the family we're building, and I'm ready to make it permanent, in whatever way you want that to mean. Nathan set down the key and pulled a small box from his own pocket. Inside was a simple ring, nothing flashy, just a silver band with a small diamond. I was going to wait until New Year's, he said. Had this whole plan for midnight, champagne, the works, but I think now is better. Lena's eyes went wide. Nathan, I'm not asking you to be Riley's mom. You already are that, in every way that matters. And I'm not asking you to complete me or save me or any of that romantic nonsense. Nathan took her hand. I'm asking you to keep doing what you've been doing. Keep showing up. Keep choosing us. Keep building this life together. Will you marry me? Lena was crying now, laughing through tears. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Is that a yes or a no? It's a yes, you idiot. Of course it's a yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they kissed like they had all the time in the world, because they did.
They had the rest of their lives. They told Riley on Christmas morning, presenting it as an extra gift. "Lena and I are getting married," Nathan said. "What do you think about that?" Riley looked between them, processing.
"Does that mean Lena will be here forever?" "If that's okay with you," Lena said. "Will you be my mom?"
"I'd like to be. If you want me to be." Riley threw her arms around Lena's neck. "I want you to be." They spent Christmas Day as an engaged family, calling relatives, making plans, existing in the bubble of new beginnings. Emma cried when she heard, claiming it was allergies even though everyone knew better. The months that followed were full of wedding planning and the normal chaos of daily life. They decided on a small ceremony in the spring, just close family and friends, nothing fancy. Riley insisted on being the flower girl and picked out her own dress, purple with sparkles naturally. March brought the wedding, held in their backyard under a cherry tree that was just starting to bloom. Riley took her role seriously, walking down the aisle with careful steps, scattering petals like each one mattered. Nathan stood at the makeshift altar, watching Lena walk toward him in a simple white dress, and felt the years of fear and doubt finally release their hold. This was real. This was happening. This was his future. The ceremony was brief, personal. They wrote their own vows. "I promise to keep showing up," Lena said, her voice steady. "To choose you and Riley every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I promise to be your partner, your equal, your home." "I promise to let you in," Nathan said. "To trust you with the parts of me that are still scared and broken. To build this life with you, not just for Riley, but for us. I promise to love you for exactly who you are, not who I think you should be." They exchanged rings, kissed as husband and wife, and Riley cheered louder than anyone. The reception was simple, held in the same backyard, Emma's husband manning the grill while kids ran wild and adults nursed beers. Riley held court near the dessert table, telling anyone who would listen about how she'd known Lena and her dad should get married from the very beginning. "I told him she was nice," Riley explained to Emma, "and that she had good taste in ice cream. Those are the important things." As the sun started to set, Nathan found Lena standing at the edge of the yard watching Riley play with her cousins. "Hey, Mrs. Cole," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "That's going to take some getting used to." "We've got time." They stood there watching their daughter, because Lena had legally adopted Riley the month before, a surprise for Riley that had involved a lot of tears and group hugs, and Nathan thought about the journey that had brought them here. A bad date and a chance conversation, coffee and cautious trust, months of building something real from nothing but hope and honesty. All the moments where they could have given up but chose to keep trying instead. "What are you thinking about?" Lena asked. "How I almost didn't ask for your number that night. How I almost let fear win." "But you didn't." "But I didn't." "Good thing. Otherwise, who would Riley have forced to help with her rock collection?" Nathan laughed. "Pretty sure she would have found someone. She's persistent. She gets that from you, and the intensity from you. Poor kid doesn't stand a chance." They watched as the evening turned to night, as someone turned on string lights and music started playing. Emma dragged them both onto the makeshift dance floor, insisting that the bride and groom had to dance even if it was just in their backyard. Nathan held Lena close, swaying to music that was slightly too loud, surrounded by everyone they loved. Riley danced nearby with Emma's kids, her purple sparkly dress catching the light. "I'm happy," Lena said quietly, her head on his shoulder. "I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again after the divorce, but I'm genuinely, completely happy." "Me too." "We should tell her," Lena said suddenly. "Tell who what?" "Tell Riley. About the baby." Nathan pulled back, his heart hammering. "Are you sure?" "It's still early." "I'm sure. I want her to know. I want to celebrate this with our family." They found Riley near the dessert table naturally, her face covered in frosting. "Bug, can we talk to you for a second?" Nathan asked. Riley looked between them, suspicious. "Am I in trouble?" "No, we just have something to tell you." They moved away from the crowd, the three of them huddled together under the cherry tree where Nathan and Lena had exchanged vows just hours before. "What is it?" Riley asked. Lena knelt down to Riley's level. "How would you feel about being a big sister?" Riley's eyes went wide. "You're having a baby?" "We are. In about 6 months."
Riley shrieked, throwing her arms around Lena's neck, then Nathan's, then Lena's again. I'm going to be a big sister. Can I name the baby? Can we get a dog too? Slow down, Nathan laughed. One thing at a time. They told Emma next, who cried again, then the rest of the family, and by the end of the night, everyone knew that the Cole family was expanding by one more. Later, after everyone had gone home and Riley was asleep, Nathan and Lena cleaned up the backyard together, collecting cups and plates, taking down decorations. Some wedding day, Lena said. Some wedding day, Nathan agreed. Married and pregnant. We don't do anything halfway, do we? Where's the fun in halfway? They finished cleaning and stood in their backyard, the yard where they'd gotten married, where Riley would play, where their new baby would take first steps someday, and Nathan felt the kind of contentment he'd stopped believing in years ago. Thank you, he said quietly.
For what? For sitting next to me that night, for asking real questions, for not giving up when I was difficult, for choosing us. Thank you for letting me, Lena said, for being brave enough to hope again. They went inside, checked on Riley one last time, and went to bed in their house, their home, their life. And when Nathan woke up the next morning with Lena curled against his side and sunlight streaming through the windows, he didn't feel the old fear of everything falling apart. He felt possibility. He felt hope. He felt like a man who'd been given a second chance and had the sense to actually take it. 6 months later, they welcomed a son. Riley held him in the hospital with careful arms, counting his fingers and toes, declaring him perfect, even though he looked like every other newborn, red and wrinkled and vaguely alien. What are we going to name him? Riley asked. We thought you could help decide, Nathan said. They'd had names picked out, but at the last minute had decided to let Riley have a say. She took the responsibility seriously, studying her new brother with intense focus. Henry, she decided. He looks like a Henry. Henry Cole, Lena tested. I like it. And so Henry joined their family, completing what had started as a lonely single dad in a coffee shop and a divorced nurse too tired to go home. They were messy and imperfect, composed of broken pieces that had somehow fit together into something whole. Years later, when people asked Nathan how he'd known Lena was the one, he'd tell them about that first conversation. How she'd asked real questions, how she'd seen him, really seen him, when he'd been invisible to himself. But the truth was more complicated than that. She hadn't saved him. He hadn't completed her. They'd just shown up for each other day after day, choosing the hard work of building something real over the easy comfort of staying alone. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. On quiet evenings when Riley was doing homework and Henry was building block towers that immediately fell down, Nathan would catch Lena's eye across the chaos and remember that coffee shop. Remember being tired and lonely and convinced happiness wasn't for people like him. He'd been wrong. Happiness wasn't about being rescued or finding your other half or any of the stories he'd been told. It was about finding someone who saw you on your worst day and chose to sit down anyway. It was about building trust slowly, carefully, honestly. It was about showing up. And Lena had shown up every single day since that first conversation. She was still showing up, would keep showing up because that's what family did. They chose each other. They built something real. And they lived. Not perfectly. Not without struggle or doubt or moments of fear. But together. Always together. And that made all the difference.